So this is the garden. We'll start from the outside. I'll bring it up close. We have some carrots, lettuce. Those very big plants at the back, those are sunflowers coming in. Some more lettuce. I just planted some Swiss charts, so I'm hoping they come up. And the onions are coming up really well. Marigold. Some more carrots and onions in between. Some dill. They're coming back from the last year. I didn't plant them this year, but they're coming back, which is wonderful. I'm just going to take this head off here. So this is the flowers. Well, I called it the head of the dill, but it's the flowers. And then you have some Swiss chard coming in between there, as you can see. And lots of beets. The beets are doing really well this year. I'm really impressed with how big they're coming in. Let's see if I can find one. Let's see. There. So you can see there's the beetroots, and then some more onions. The onions are coming in nicely. A little bit more marigold. The basil didn't come up here. Mind you, I planted it from from seed really late this year. So here we go. We have a little bit more dill. I'm just going to take the head of the dill off here. I don't want it to go to seed as yet. Some more onions in between there. And as you can see, this is the corn. It's coming. Oh, look at that. The corn is beginning to form. And in between the corn, I had planted some snow peas. They're coming up really nicely. So you can see there's a little bit of a race between the height of the corn and the height of my sunflower. This is the first year I actually planted sunflower in the vegetable garden. There are the snow peas. They're coming nicely. There's some of them right there. And I've learned that the taller the climbing apparatus, the taller the snow piece gets. Alright, so this is the first section. Here's some more. The marigold discourages some of the smaller animals like the rabbits, the gophers. They don't like the smell of it, the squirrels. And it discourages, I think they said, some insects. Oh, and I have right in front of it, I have my little white daisies. Now just across on the other side of the gate here, the orange lines, those are not done by me. The city is marking up some lines. Alright, so here you can see another section on this side. Again, I have some corn, some snow peas, marigolds, but I also included some kidney beans. This is the red bean. So I'm growing some kidney beans. They're a bush bean. I did give them some support this year so they would go straight up rather than flop over, and they seem to be doing really well with that. This is my first year growing it in this manner. Now we have, this is squash. I don't see any flowers as yet. I planted this very late from seed, but it's coming up nicely. And then of course in the very back we have the sunflower, and it seems to be a race. Now I'm not quite sure what this is. I'm going to pull this out. This looks like just a weed. Yep, that's just a weed. So this is the second part of the garden. Now this is my main garden. My main garden is on the inside, and I'm discovering what works, what doesn't work. On the outside part of the garden, I spent a lot of time putting sheep manure. and peat moss. I did put some in here, but I think I need to build up and put some more next year. But this part of the garden is doing really, really well. The back portion, I need to think about what to do here. I did do some sunflowers along the back with some peas. The peas doesn't seem to be liking that spot too much, although they're managing. I think I would do something different there next year with the sunflower if I do sunflowers. The front portion of the garden, that's where I actually did an edge of carrots all along. Let me just bring it closer for you to see. And I might do the same idea in the back next time. I'm not quite sure. So all along here, I did some carrots. And then as you can see, this is a cucumber, and they're liking the climbing apparatus that I give them this year. It's quite different than what I've done in the past. I put some carrots in the middle, and then I put the tomato with the peas, tomato, and peas. The whole idea is when the peas are finished, I'm just going to trim the stem, leave the root in the ground, because the peas, the roots of the peas add nitrogen to the soil, so that is beneficial for the tomato plants. So I planted my tomatoes from seed this year. I planted them fairly late. Usually I have the seeds planted in April, and then I have a small plant to put in the soil in May, but I didn't plant the seeds until June. So they're doing fairly well. They're just going to be a late crop, but that's okay. If we get 2 more months of nice weather, they should be fine. As you can see, there's the first flower coming. I'm not going to pinch it off. Normally I'd pinch it off and encourage them to grow higher, but I think I'll leave it this year and just see what they do. I did prune the bottom of my tomato stems, and that encourages them to grow taller as well. As you can see right here, I just need to prune this guy off here. Just pull that off. I did plant parsley in the soil, but it didn't come up here. It came up actually in a different spot. So next year, for the next garden season, I'll make sure that I plant it earlier. All of these marigolds, I actually planted these from seeds. What I would like to do is actually start this indoor way earlier, and then transplant them earlier in the seasons rather than plant them from seed and have them coming up so late in the season. I love the marigolds. The smell, again, it deters certain insects and rodents from my garden because they don't like it. And then you see all these color flags. They're just marking to do some work. So here's some more kidney beans. I did have some spinach growing in between. There's still some here that's coming up and some here, but it's going to seed, so it'll be time to pull it out. And then here are the kidney beans. The kidney beans are going to get really big. This is just what they look like when they start. So they get really big, and I don't pick them until they're dry. And the dill came back on its own this year. I didn't have to plant that. Lots of chives. Let me just turn the camera this way. Lots of chives in this garden. I have been working on a chive section of the garden, and then when they go to seed, I just spread the seeds along the front portion, because my intention is to have chives all the way down to border this section here. So really good chives. So it's time for me to trim it up, cut it up, dry it up, put it in jars. It's about that time now. As you can see, lots of dills, and they are flowering, so I'm going to have to take the flowers off so that they don't go to seed. And also it probably is time to take some of the dills, dry it for the winter. There's some cucumbers, and the cucumbers on this side, they're really loving it. I've never planted cucumbers on this side of the garden before, and they're loving this area. They're just going like everywhere. They're finding shoots. They're going everywhere, honestly, but that's okay. Now, the calla lily, this I bought last year. It was very small, tiny little pot, and it grew. This year, I actually had to separate it into 4 different pots. So as I go along, I'm going to show you. Yes, I spray painted my pot here. It's a beautiful, beautiful color. I love it. And now I was doing an experiment where you do potatoes in a bag. So this is just like a garden bag, and I planted the potatoes and they're doing amazingly well. Here's my calla lily. This one is starting to flower. It's just so amazing. Here's another potato. One of the things I had to be careful with is deciding what to put where to make sure that they support each other in growth. Now this calla lily plant has been divided so many times and it keeps coming back. In the winter time, I will spray the soil so that the insects come out of it, and then I'll take it inside. Here's another tomato plant, potato. And then here was my other new project this year. So this is called potatoes in a barrel. There are holes in the bottom, and they're close to the bottom and at the very, very bottom. And then I planted the potatoes like literally like this much. And as the plants came up, I kept adding dirt. So I think my dirt is up to here. So I need to fill it up because the plants are getting taller now. So as you can see, so I just add like compost dirt because at the very end, I can put that dirt right back into the compost. So it's time to add some more compost dirt. So it's doing fairly well. The soil is nice and loose because that's all from the compost. That's just all the vegetable scraps and food scraps. Here is another potato. I had another container left over and I just decided just to throw some potatoes in there. Again, I need to add some more dirt to that as well. So this is my potato in a barrel concept. Hopefully it's prosperous. I didn't start this until July, so I can't say if it's going to be prosperous this year or not. Here's another little calla lily. I divided it. So I divided the big plant. It actually transplanted really well. It's doing really well. I'm really impressed with how it's growing. It's grown some new leaves. And I think I'll need to add a little bit of dirt once I see some of the shoots coming up out of the ground. I think it's okay right now. This is a bridal wreath. That means that when it blossoms just white, tiny flowers. And as always, I have too many tomato plants that I grow from seed, so I had to put some into containers. I just did that the other day. They're coming up. This one here is just flourishing really well. And here is another one right there at the top of the stairs. I started these very late, so I'm not quite sure how they're going to fare. But we'll see. We'll see. It's all an experiment, really. So that's a doggy there. Hi. She's looking at me like, what is going on? Okay, so I'm going to take you in another part of the yard. I just want to showcase a couple of things here. So one of the biggest things that I always wanted to have in my yard was a rain barrel. And last year I was able to get this put in, which is so awesome because it collects the rain and the plants just absolutely love it. So the rain barrel, the person that did this is just like genius. The rain barrel, the rain comes into here and it connects to a secondary barrel. So it's connected with this. Right now I have these closed, but usually when they're open, the water will go over. So I actually am going to open them. I'll open this one first. Okay, so that's what this looks like. It's just giving me water from here, but I'm actually going to open the other one since it rained last night, to get some water going over. And if I remember correctly, turn that way, and then what happens is the water, this is the main barrier, the water is here, and then it's going to filter into here as well, and then it evens it out. Now, what's really, really cool is that the excess water comes out from the secondary barrel. When both barrels are leveled, the excess water will come right out and it will flow and it will just go all the way by my palm tree, all the way down, and it just goes all the way there. Yeah, I thought that was really, really cool. I really appreciate the way that he designed that. It's really cool. Now this part of the yard I'm still working on. Hindsight is always 20/20, but I'm still working on it. The last thing I'd like to show you is the compost. Now this is my compost again. Like I said, there's some little tags that were marked by the city there. This is my compost system right here. Taking you in. Hopefully I don't drop the phone. As you can see, I just added some stuff to it. So then I take the fork and I mix it up. It's really hard to do when I'm holding the phone in one hand. Let me try with a different, a smaller one actually. Okay, so all the vegetable scraps, fruit scraps are in here. I have some chives in there. No, you do not put grass in here. I don't want my gardens to be filled with grass. And I basically mix it up, I cover it up. This year I've been trying to empty it out, the compost, as much as possible so that I can add more to it. Now, when I get the dirt from the compost, I usually get it from this bottom part here. It's not ready, so I'm not going to get the beautiful stuff right now. I'm just going to get everything that I threw in last week. But it comes from in here. That's where I take it from. So yeah, that's the compost. I love the compost because through the year I just add, like if I have if I am transplanting a plant and have excess dirt, I'll put it in there. If I have dry leaves, not wet leaf, dry leaves, I'll put in there. Food scraps, like vegetable fruit scraps, no meat, nothing like that, but I'll put the fruit scraps in there as well. Dried plants I put in there, and it just composes down. I cover it up. You can actually open it from here. I just always have a little hard time opening it from here, so I just open the whole thing. So yeah, that's my compost system. And then right next to it, and this is just my winter shovels, but here I have a wood fireplace, so this is the wood for the wood fireplace. So there, that's the inside part of the yard and the garden. And Miss Violet. Hello, baby. Hi, sweetie. Sit. Good girl. Yeah. Are you having fun outside? Yeah. Yes. Good girl. Nice kisses. Here. She's just sniffing my toes. Good girl. Alright, mommy's gonna go inside. Yes, you're good. No jumping. No jumping. She likes to jump. She still thinks jumping is meant to happen. Anyway, so this is like half of the yard actually. The other half is this very, very big tree. And I'm going to show you my very, very big pine tree. I need to trim it a little bit because it's the branches are getting like fairly, fairly big. Like anytime the branches come close enough for me to be able to touch it from the upper deck, it's time to give a trim. So I need to do a trim. So it's a very healthy tree, which I really like. I like the tree, so I need to do that sometime soon. Okay, so that's my garden. And that's a wrap.